The previous day, the town had registered a record 49.6 Celsius.
It's the hottest temperature ever recorded in Canada since records began. And it didn't just break it on one day, it broke it on back-to-back days. And
all ladies, you are invited to our premier 13th annual Women's Conference, Lady to Lady Global Conference 2022. Theme, Joy. Date, Saturday, 30th July. Doors open at 11 a.m. Venue, Fairview's Concert Halls, the Phoenix Theater, Croydon, CR91DG3, United Kingdom. Register on www.ladytoladyglobal.org. Music Ministers, CLC Healing Voices. Simeon. Queenie, Ada Ahi.
Congratulations, I have seen the glory of God.
Conference speakers, Reverend Betty King, Pastor Marjorie, Pastor Sandra.
I did come to Lady, and from that day onwards, my life has never been the same.
See you there.
They all form part of the City of London Corporation's bold new vision for the future of London's financial district. It's hoping that a cultural makeover of the Square Mile will help boost London's recovery after the pandemic and ensure it remains an attractive place to work, invest in and visit. Well, the man spearheading the plans is Chris Hayward. He's policy chairman for the City of London Corporation, and he joins me now in his very first broadcast interview. Chris, welcome to you. Would you be having to do this were it not for the shift towards working from home post the pandemic?
Well, I think what we have seen since the pandemic is a fall from 540,000 business commuters a day coming into the city, right down to 60% of those coming into the city. And that's, frankly, on Tuesdays, Wednesdays and Thursdays mainly. So that reduction in footfall has dramatically affected our SMEs, our small, medium-sized enterprises. So this new destination city plan that I've launched is all about trying to increase the footfall and support our businesses across the capital.
Chris, you're also trying to do more at weekends. Why's that? Is that for similar reasons?
It is. You know, we've always been a great 5-day-a-week city. We're increasingly have got a strong nighttime economy, which is really important, so that the new generation of city workers can work and play in the same city and don't need to go over to the West End. But we've never really cracked the Saturdays and Sundays. The city tends to go a bit dead during those 2 days. And what I want to do is to bring in inbound tourism to the city. You know, we have a great story to tell in the city. We have a lot of interesting places to visit, and we've never really focused on that. So I'm not trying to take anything away from our financial and professional services sector and the business city. I'm trying to supplement and slightly diversify the strength of our economic base.
You mentioned footfall just now, Chris. Has that improved at all since the opening of the Elizabeth line and the fact that the Northern Line bank branch is now reopened?
Well, you know, a really strong transport system across London is fundamentally important to getting people back to work and encouraging them back into the city. So the answer is yes, the Elizabeth line is a fantastic chance now to get people back into work. It's, you know, it's an east-west corridor. It's we contributed ourselves £250 million to its development. So we see it as a very important lifeline in getting people in, and the same with the bank station upgrade. You know, what I would really like to see is that the government and the Mayor of London reach a long-term solution to the funding of London's transport system, because Londoners need a strong transport system to get in and out of work and for their social lives. And this sort of 6-monthly budgeting of TfL is something which I think we need to find a longer-term answer to.
Chris, one potential draw for tourists, of course, is the Museum of London, where it's looking to move to a new site. And as I understand it, it's been held up by planning issues. Is there any way of sort of hastening that?
Well, yes, Ian, we are actually now moving forward. It's got planning consent to move to the Smithfield Market site, where for years, of course, we've had the meat market. We're going to reconsolidate all our markets, our 3 markets, Billingsgate, Spitalfields and Smithfield, all on one site down in Barking and Dagenham. And that will allow us to free up that site to convert and build a new, very exciting Museum of London. It really will be a flagship development, not just for the City of London, but for the United Kingdom. It's going to be a big draw, we think, as part of our cultural offering.
Yeah, I quite agree. It's a fantastic asset, the Museum of London. Now, the corporation, of course, also owns Epping Forest and Hampstead Heath. Do you have any sort of vision for those? Are those ticking along nicely?
Yes, our open spaces did incredibly well during the pandemic, as you might expect. People took to Hampstead Heath and took to Epping Forest, Burnham Beeches, all of those big public open spaces that we own and manage. And there's been a definite take-up of people wanting outdoors participation, getting out there. And so I think there's a great future for having really good public realm. And that public realm is important in the city as well. All our big buildings and developments now, we're insisting have to have some public realm associated with them, whether it's Sky Gardens or whether it's on the lower levels. But we see more and more people wanting to be outside. We saw alfresco dining in the city during the pandemic. That's something I'd like to encourage more of as well. So the big outdoors is firmly on our agenda.
Good to hear. Chris, lovely to talk to you this morning. Hopefully it's the first of many interviews. See you again, I hope. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Ian. Thank you.
And to people who, from outside London, who often say, why do you talk about the city so much? Well, come and visit it. It is a fantastic asset. It's absolutely teeming with history and wonderful things to see and do. So come on down. City of London is very welcome. Now, online scammers are increasingly using so-called content fraud to swindle customers on seemingly trustworthy sites. The fraud prevention firm Sift says it has seen a significant increase in blocked content fraud over the last year. Well, joining me now is Tonia Likes. She is the head of Europe at the fraud prevention firm Sift. Tonia, welcome to you. For those who don't know about the sort of jargon here, what is actually content fraud? What does it entail?
So, Ian, content fraud is basically when scammers actually post incorrect ads. It can be job sites, job opportunities, and any type of scam, content-based scam, to basically get a consumer to share personal information. They then use that personal information to steal either stolen, I suppose, credit or payment fraud, basically, at the end of the day. So it's account takeover and payment fraud. It's the sharing of personal information to drive that type of fraud vectors.
And why is it on the increase?
Well, if we roll back to, I suppose, pre-pandemic and what happened in the pandemic, is that organizations were forced to transform very, very quickly and to put their businesses online. That's one element to it. The second element to it is that there was a lot of transaction volumes in the more travel and hospitality type organizations, which dwindled. So fraudsters were left with the need to try and, I suppose, take advantage of other vectors to create opportunities for them to I suppose benefit themselves. If we think back, so 2021, we saw a 59% increase in spam and scams. And then this year, in addition to that 79% increase, we've seen an additional 28% increase. So they identified the opportunity in the pandemic era, and then now they're really optimizing on that and taking extreme advantage.
And who are the bad actors here? Is it state entities or is it individuals?
It's individuals. I think it's a variety of very savvy, technically savvy, commercially astute individuals that are, there's an industry of fraudsters and scammers out there that their sole purpose is to create malicious intent.
And is this type of fraud harder to detect than other sort of traditional types of fraud?
It is in a way, because it's not typically people don't consider spam and scams as fraud. Typically, fraud has always been considered payment fraud. But now it is harder to detect, and I suppose there's a lot of organizations that don't necessarily focus on solving for content fraud, but content fraud is actually the root of how scammers get the information to commit payment fraud. So it is harder to detect. It depends on the type of technology you have in place to detect it, and it requires organizations to invest in a digital trust and safety solution to look at all vectors of fraud and every opportunity across their organization, which is providing an opportunity for these fraudsters to take advantage.
All right, Tonia, we've got to leave it there. Good to see you this morning. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you.
Well, still to come here on Ian King Live, we'll have a look at how global markets are doing this Wednesday morning. Sterling's taken a bit of a knock, as you can see. More after this short break. Don't go away.
at that sheet of flame, and it's moving this way.
And over there is Dover.
We track the changes happening to our world right now.
I think it's a procession of the Taliban. There they are, right here.
Would you, as Prime Minister, be able to look them in the face?
Let's have a look at both of those two things.
I just want to say thank you for having the courage to speak to us.
We do genuinely believe in what we do, to show the truth.
That's it, that's the moment.
I thought there was an astonishing story there.
Well, the pound has fallen on foreign exchange markets this morning as the inflation numbers proved no worse than expected. Sterling is currently off by just over a third of 1% against the US dollar and by just over a sixth of 1% against the euro. Meanwhile, the euro itself is lower against the dollar this morning on what appears to be another move into safe havens. Well, on the equity markets, despite a positive showing on Wall Street last night, stocks in the Asia-Pacific region fell overnight amid a revival of concerns over global growth. As you can see, Hong Kong fell by more than 2.5%, while Shanghai and Mumbai also fell by more than 1%. In Europe, stocks have all moved into negative territory this morning. Here's the current picture. All of the main indices down by between 1.75% and 2.5% right now. Talking points this morning include BASF. Its shares are off by more than 5% in Frankfurt, and that is after its CEO warned that the German chemicals giant is facing a considerable downturn early in the second half of the year. Big industrial bellwether, that one. Here in London, the FTSE 100 is off by 1.25%. Mining heavyweights are dragging the index lower after the copper price hit its lowest level since March last year. That is always quite a bad sign, by the way, for global growth prospects. Glencore, the mining group and commodities trader, is the biggest blue chip faller, off by nearly 5.5%. Another major faller is the North Sea oil and gas producer Harbour Energy. Its shares are off by nearly 4% after it warned that the UK government's windfall tax is going to hit its investment plans in the country this year. There are not too many gainers to mention in the FTSE, but NatWest is up by 3.25% as concerns over an immediate share sale by the UK government appear to have receded. Outside the FTSE, plenty going on there. Similar picture, lots of fallers. The software group Micro Focus, the shares are off nearly 16.5% there after reporting a big drop in full-year sales. There aren't many gainers around to mention, but one of the few ones is the power generator Drax Group. The shares up by just under 2.5% after it received a push from one of the brokers this morning. As for the oil price, well, that suffered a big fall overnight on news that the US President Joe Biden is to temporarily suspend federal taxes on petrol. I'm not sure why that should be the case, as such a move seems more likely to boost demand. But there you go. Barrel of Brent crude is currently changing hands at $110.07 a barrel. That is off just under 4%. Well, joining me now is Tom Stevenson, Fidelity International's investment director. Tom, morning to you. I mean, what a skittish week it's been. So the US was shut on Monday. We had a big rally yesterday, and basically it's sell everything mode again today.
I think that's absolutely right, Ian. We've got used to the idea of buying the dips, haven't we? The market falls, it's an opportunity to get back in. I think what we're seeing at the moment, and really over the last 10 or 11 weeks, is that investors are starting to sell the rallies. When the market goes up, they take that as an opportunity to take a bit of money off the table. We've had the market fall in 10 of the last 11 weeks. So, yeah, we had a rally Monday and Tuesday this week, but pretty short-lived, and we're back in that sell the rallies mindset again, as you say.
I mean, most main stock indices now, Tom, are in bear market territory. How long do you expect this bear market to persist?
Well, I think the bear market will persist until we get some greater clarity on where the Federal Reserve is going to end up, how far interest rates are going to go, where they're going to peak, and how quickly they're going to get there. So I think this week is going to be an interesting one from that perspective. Jay Powell, the head of the Federal Reserve, is giving testimony to Congress over the next couple of days. I think that might give us a hint as to whether we're going to get another 3/4 point rate hike next month. I think the other important thing to watch out for this week is data, the Purchasing Managers Index data, which is kind of snapshot of the health of the global economy. We've got those PMI numbers from all over the world, across Europe and the US as well. So we're going to get a sense of what the situation is regarding growth and interest rates, and those are the two key things.
This announcement from Biden on federal petrol taxes is quite interesting, isn't it? I mean, is that going to be sufficient, do you think, to keep consumer demand ticking over in the US?
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad you were confused by that, because I was as well, Ian. I think that what's happened with the oil price today, it's fallen back, and I think that's growth worries. That is concerns about what this squeeze on inflation is going to mean, what the cost of that is going to be. It's very clear that the Federal Reserve has accepted that there is a price to pay if it's going to get on top of inflation, and it's determined to do so, then there is going to be a growth consequence to that. And that's going to show through in things like the oil price, but also you mentioned the copper price before there. People talk about Dr. Copper. It's a key measure of the overall health of the global economy.
Absolutely. I mean, we can't understate the importance of copper in terms of the indicators it throws out about global GDP growth.
Yeah, so copper is a really important bellwether for what's going on in the economy. It's a very important measure too of what's going on in the Chinese economy, and there are very interesting, serious concerns about the Chinese economy. Although I have to say, and this is a slightly sort of non-consensus view, we are actually getting a bit more interested in the prospects for the Chinese stock market, because the feeling is that things are not getting any worse there, which is probably not the case in much of the rest of the world.
That's really interesting. I mean, and one final word, Tom. I mentioned BASF in the market report there. I mean, this is an absolute bellwether for German industry. I mean, it's worth reminding people this is not just a UK phenomenon, this sort of slowdown that we're seeing. And really, Germany is in the floodlights to an extent.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I mentioned China there. I mean, exports to China are a really important factor of the German economy. So, the health of the European economy is dependent in large measure on what happens in the Far East as well.
All right, Tom, got to leave it there. Good to see you as ever. Thank you.
Thanks.
Well, now the Chancellor, Rishi Sunak, has been speaking this morning following the publication of the latest inflation numbers. Here's what he's got to say.
I know people are worried about the rising cost of living, and that's why we've taken significant action to support all families, with the most vulnerable in our society receiving around £1,200 of help. We're also using all the tools at our disposal, and we have the determination to combat rising prices, reduce inflation and rebuild a stronger economy.
Has the Bank of England lost control of inflation? Is the UK heading for a recession?
Now, I want people to be reassured that we have all the tools we need and the determination to reduce inflation and bring it back down. Firstly, the Bank of England will act forcefully to combat inflation. Secondly, the government will be responsible with borrowing and debt so we don't make the situation worse and drive up people's mortgage rates any more than they're going to go up. And lastly, we're improving the productivity of our economy, improving the supplies of energy we have and moving people off welfare into work.
Are we heading for a recession?
Look, forecasters will make their predictions, but I am confident that we're providing the right support to the economy at this time to help people ease through some of the challenges they're facing with the rising cost of living and rebuild a stronger economy for the long term.
How would a wage rise of 3 or 4 or 5% in the public sector be inflationary when a rise in pensions of 10% is not?
Well, it's right that we reward our hard-working public sector workers with a pay rise, but that needs to be proportionate and balanced with the need not to make the inflationary pressures worse and also to see what's affordable for the taxpayer. Now, the slight difference with pensions is pensions are not an input cost into the cost of producing goods and services we all consume, so they don't add to inflation in the same way.
Well, OK, but for clarity, why should workers show pay restraint when you are giving pensioners a 10% rise in their incomes?
Well, Well, I think we're confusing two things because we already know what pensions are going to be for this year and people are speculating on what they might be next year. Now, we have a long-standing policy in place. Pension rates are decided in the autumn. We've had the triple lock in place for a long time, which protects pensioners because they are among the most vulnerable in our society.
Isn't the truth that you have the extra tax revenues from high inflation and you are not passing them on to key workers, but instead you are keeping them for pre-election tax cuts?
What we've announced is £37 billion of support for families up and down the country to help them meet some of the challenges that they're seeing with rising prices. The most vulnerable in our society are going to receive around £1,200 of support, but there is help available for everyone. It's a package that has been, I think, widely acknowledged by independent commentators to be significant, generous and well targeted at those who most need our help at this time.
Was the Chancellor giving his reaction to this morning's inflation numbers. More on that throughout the day here on Sky News.
All ladies, you are invited to our premier 13th Annual Women's Conference Lady to Lady Global Conference 2022. Theme, Joy. Date, Saturday, 30th July. Doors open at 11 a.m. Venue, Fairview's Concert Halls, the Phoenix Theater, Croydon, CR91DG3, United Kingdom. Register on www.ladytoladyglobal.org. Music Minister, CLC Healing Voices. Simeon. Queenie, Ada Ahi.
Congratulations, I have seen the glory of God.
Conference speakers Reverend Betty King, Pastor Marjorie, Pastor Sandra.
I did come to Lady, and from that day onwards, my life has never been the same.
See you there.
Kenya, Uganda and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission-free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email and phone number. That's it. You're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR. S for Starr, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit.
Getting onto the property ladder has never been easy until now. Join us this and every Thursday from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. live on the Property Hour show on Starr Radio UK, where we talk to mortgage brokers, property developers, estate agents, landlord, tenant, property consultants on how to invest or get into the property business and make money. You can't afford to miss this. The Property Hour show is your best source into the property industry.
Are you looking for the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy door-to-door shipment company? Well, look no further. When was the last time your family received a shipment back in Ghana on time and in time? You are not sure? Well, Lamb Shippers, we pride ourselves with being the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy shippers you can use. You are assured of a prompt pickup anywhere in the UK by our personnel. They also make sure your items are well packaged to get to its destination in time. When it comes to door-to-door shipment, look no further. Well, Lamb Shippers, contact us on 07939009321 or 07498911820. Or you can visit our website www.welllamp.co.uk. You can also drop us a mail, info@welllamp@gmail.com. Well Lamp Shippers, fast, reliable and trustworthy.
Hi there. Are you dreaming of owning your own house in Ghana? Then you will need a well-documented piece of land that is free from troubles. I highly recommend My Africa Property for any size of land that you will need. With My Africa Property, lands are available in Pram, Sopoli, Tohenia, Ogome, Dodoma, Winneba, and many other locations at affordable prices. These locations are about an hour away from the airport, only 35 minutes from the motorway, 10 minutes drive from Central University College, 10 minutes drive to the beach, and close to Pram Senior High School and Ghana Men's Soccer Center of Excellence. For more details, visit our website www.myafricaproperty.com or call our UK office on 0208 123 2523. For our US and Canada offices, call us on +1 585 184 994145. You can also email us at ghana@myafricaproperty.com.
Tune in to On Point here on Starr Radio UK with Empress Regina every Monday at 5 p.m. GMT. Looking forward to your company.
Check me out.
He tells me my energy is making him tired.
Yes!
How do you get the energy to do that?
I've been told that I have a lot of energy, but my goodness, I think today I have met my match, people. I have met my match, Miss Suzanne. Wow, amazing.
One of the things that's the start of the darkness. Of darkness.
So what did that?
Myself and the world will adjust. And 2019.
Forget the proverbial boardroom. Join me, Simone Frazier, on The CEO, the program that gives you the driving seat over your life. Every Tuesday, 8 p.m. only on Starr Radio.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clement, the author of How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Starr Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Hi there, this is CJ Buckman, your life coach. And whenever I'm in London, I listen to Starr Radio UK right here. But guess what? You can listen to wherever you are.
It's your man. Show them you got the coco set. Ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy Harry Song, aka Mr. Songs. This is the Kingmaker Baba for the girls. We're here. This is Starr Radio. Don't go nowhere. UK, London. We they call them London for home. For here, we they call them London. And that's how you know. Just have fun and stay blessed.
The best radio show.
Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
In your car,
at work,
at home,
on your smartphone.
This is Starr Radio UK.
Are you ready to turn it up? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Birds flying high, you know how I feel. Sun in the sky, you know how I feel. Breeze drifting on by, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life for me. And I'm feeling good. Hey there, there's Archie.
If we not say it go happen, as God say it will do one. If we not say, everybody say.
Let me say hello and massive good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good dawn to you wherever you might be on planet Earth, and those of you on other planets as well. We salute you and we welcome you to the 22nd of June 2022, the Wednesday edition of the morning show. It's 10:41 from the hearts of London. So from now till 12 o'clock, when I take you to the House of Parliament for the Prime Minister's question time, we're going to be having a very, 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 very good time here. But once again, if you are sitting, sit very comfortably, buckle up. If you are standing, hold on to something. Get yourself a hot or cold drink, whichever is appropriate. And let's take this journey, not to the unknown, to the known. Because you know I'm at the helm of affairs. I'm going to make sure that I take you to your destination, or I get you to your destination in peace and not pieces. But do me a massive favor, share the broadcast with your friends and loved ones and invite them to like our pages. Once again, welcome to the program. I remain yours sincerely, the one and only.
This is the morning show with Archie.
Everybody say it go happen. It go happen. If we not say it go happen.
Okay, so if it's the first time of tuning in to listen to us on a Wednesday edition of the morning show, this is how the program goes. I will bring you the quote for the day, the weather forecast will follow suit, then the travel updates. And I will move on from there to have a look at some of the stories making the rounds across the globe, known as Global Trotting. Then after that, at 11 o'clock, we'll be bringing you updates from Nigeria. With all the stories that Yomi has posted, he's working behind the scenes this morning, but this evening is going to be live on the Niger Voices. Then after that, we continue with the conversation, looking at some of the stories making the rounds in other parts of the world. The lines will be open for you at 11:30 for you to add your voice to the discussions. And exactly at 12 o'clock, we bring the curtains down for the first part of the program and take you straight to the Houses of Parliament for the Prime Minister's question time. So in a nutshell, that is what is going to be happening today. So don't touch the dial. It is Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Let me say good morning to my team, Mr. Olayomi Koiki and Mr. Francis Guy working in the background. Mr. Frank Davis, good morning to you and all presenters of Starr Radio UK management. I salute each and every one of you. I remain yours sincerely, the one and only.
This is the morning show with Archie.
Playing in the background something from Nana Manuel, say it go happen, it go happen, it go happen. Time for the time. Well, the quote for the day says that success is not a miracle. Miracles do not occur in your life every day. So you got to work, plan things together. Put things together. Work. And prepare yourself. And when even miracles or miracles do happen, as they do, I know they do, that as they say, not every day, you will not be ill prepared. You'll be prepared for it as well. So once again, welcome to the program, Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Let's move on straight to the weather front. Let me tell you what is happening on the weather front. Okay, so for London and the southeast of England, this is how the weather is going to be for you today. This afternoon will continue dry and fine with extensive spell of sunshine and very little in the way of cloud. It will be a warm day with a gentle breeze. Now this evening will be dry with late spells of sunshine. Tonight will then be dry and calm with clear skies throughout. But when it comes to the temperatures, 26 degrees, the lowest is going to be 13 degrees. Pollen is going to be high, UV level high, and pollution low. Sunset will be 21, 22, and sunrise for tomorrow morning 04, 43 hours. And that brings us to the end of the weather forecast. All coming your way from Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Let's take a quick break. We come back and then we'll look at the travel updates.
Tune in to On Point here on Starr Radio UK with Empress Regina every Monday at 5 p.m. GMT. Looking forward to your company.
Check it out.
This is Starr Radio UK.
Okay, so keep your eyes on the roads, keep your eyes on the roads. I'll keep you navigated. I promise I'm on the Starr Radio UK travel update. I can to every weekday from 10:40. It's now 10:46. So what is happening on travel this morning? Yes, on the underground this morning, yes, Bakerloo, Jubilee, and I have got minor delays. Now still on the underground, Circle, Hammersmith and City, and Metropolitan Line have got severe delays. You can avoid them. Do your best to avoid them. But when it comes to London Overground, Tuesday the 21st through Friday, they're saying that because of the strike action, no service between Romford and Upminster due to strike action. So check before you leave. So I think that the strike action is going to impact lots of travels or journeys there. So please check. And those of you who like using the London Tram Link, especially, yes, minor delays due to unavailability of staff. Are they also on strike or what? There's an unavailability of staff. I bet they have to committee some people. I've got some good drivers. That aside, all the others have got good services. DLR, good service there as well. Moving on straight to the major roads in London. A12, A23, A24, A4, A41 and Central London red routes have all got closures. That aside, A40, North Circular A406 have got serious delays. So if you can avoid it, do your best to avoid it. Or if you are stuck in there, continue to listen to it, because as and when there are any changes, I'll bring it to the fore. On the river bus this morning, apart from the Woolwich Ferry that's got special service, all the others have got good service. But keep your eyes on the roads, I'll keep you navigated, I promise, our bond. Now moving on to the final segment of the travel updates at the National Rail. Well, Gatwick Express, Great Northern, Great Western Railway, Great Anglia, Northern Rail, Southwestern Railway, Southeastern, Southern, Thames Link have all got special service. On that note, let me say it once again. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good dawn to you, wherever you might be on planet Earth. Enjoy your commute for today, but you know what? Continue to keep those eyes on the roads.
All ladies, you are invited to our premier 13th annual Women's Conference, Lady to Lady Global Conference 2022. Theme, Joy. Date, Saturday, 30th July. Doors open at 11 a.m. Venue, Fairview's Concert Halls, the Phoenix Theater, Croydon, CR91DG3, United Kingdom. Register on www.ladytoladyglobal.org. Music Minister, CLC Healing Voices. Simeon. Queenie, Ada Ahi.
Congratulations, I have seen the glory of God.
Conference speakers, Reverend Betty King, Pastor Marjorie, Pastor Sandra.
I did come to Lady, and from that day onwards, my life has never been the same.
See you there.
Well, 10 minutes past the top of the hour at the time. Okay, 10 minutes to the top of the hour, right? Not past to the top of the hour. The time, that's 10 minutes to 11. The time, it is Star Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Let me say a special good morning to Shamsuddin Oladipupo. Shamsuddin, I hope you are doing very well. Thank you very much for joining us. He says, or she, I don't know. Okay, it's a Yoruba Nation. We won't. Yoruba Nation now. Okay. Kudos to you, and thank you very much for joining us as well. Now let's go global trot, and I promise you I'm going to bring you the tune uninterrupted. It go happen. What about that? Well, some stories that we're going to be looking at from Nigeria. Peter Obi reacts to endorsement by Sanusi Sultan of Sokoto. We'll be looking into those stories in a moment. Those are some of the stories that Mr. Olayomi Koiki has given on to us. And PDP presidential candidate Atiku raises team to woo Wike. So he's looking for Wike so badly. What is it going to be for him? My apologies. Well, it is Star Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Let me have a sip of water, please. Yes. My apologies for that. Okay, and Buhari to attend GHOGM 2022 in Kigali. That's some of the stories making the rounds there as well. And then some other stories. Kaduna PDP Guba candidate Ashiru names his running mate there as well. Nigerians looking for alternative to PDP APC call themselves obedient. Obaseki says. Well, so this and a lot more. We're going to be looking at it from Nigeria as well. But when it comes to other parts of the world, well, in Ghana, Parliament is to probe $140 million cocoa cash to private firm. Now, who did it go to? Is it cronies or what? Now, Ghana's Parliament has set up an ad hoc committee to investigate the circumstances surrounding the outsourcing of cocoa rehabilitation programs to a private company. We're going to be looking more into that story in a moment. And I will change Ghana in 6 months. Who is speaking? Kofi Akpalu. Now, what ideas has he got that others haven't got? Has he got all the people around him? Do you think that one person can make a difference? Well. The founder and leader of the Liberal Party of Ghana, Percival Kofi Akpalu, has asserted upon his election as president of Ghana, the country will see a drastic change in 6 months. Somebody would say, Yatiabre, we've heard it over and over, but we've not seen any action of the sort. They all come, give their promises, go back, and then do whatever they want. Now, what about that? It's all coming your way from Star Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. In Ghana still, the finance minister is to appear before Parliament today. What is going to be his, how is it going to fail there? Are they going to see to it that everything works out nicely and not be bashing left, right, center, middle, or what? We'll be looking into that. National Cathedral Secretariat has not paid money to Sonny Badu. Dr. Opoku Mensah says, why were they paying money to Sonny Badu? Why are they alleging that they paid money to Sonny Badu? I'll bring you more on that front as well, but it's all coming your way from Star Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. 6 minutes to the top of the hour at the time. The morning show, the program, the Wednesday edition, of course. All right then. Now moving on to some other stories making the rounds in other parts of the world. Well, DRC, that is in Africa as well. DRC awaits return of independence heroes tooth. Now, it's quite interesting. I mean, doing all that, whatever the celebration or whatever plans or whatever thing, just waiting for just the tooth of, they call it the independence hero. We'll bring you more on that front. And the Burkina Junta leader holds talks with overthrown president. Interesting. We'll be looking into that. What has he got to tell him? Does he want to pick his mind on issues that is going on? Is there an amicable they're trying to present him with an olive branch or something? The head of Burkina Faso ruling junta has met the president he overthrew in a coup this year for talks to try to defuse the political situation. Will he play ball or wouldn't he? Yes, this is a lot more we're going to be looking at in the next few moments, as I say. Now, moving on to other parts of the world as well. Now, powerful earthquake kills 920 people in Afghanistan. 920 powerful people killed by a powerful earthquake. How much can a country suffer? A site of Texas school shooting to be demolished. The mayor has said a gunman killed 19 children and 2 teachers at Robb Elementary in May. Why are they going to demolish the site? Okay, I will bring you more on that. A gun control bill clears first header in U.S. Senate. So somewhere, somehow, as I've been saying or advocating or be preaching all along, maybe we're going to see some sense, because if you don't want to, we want to protect those who are the unborn in a womb, doing all our best to make sure that they are protected to be birthed. And once they are birthed, we don't see to them, and they'll just allow some irate people to just go around and just shoot them because we don't have stringent gun laws. Then, okay, yeah, so we're looking more into that as well. Poll official detail Trump voters death threats. Poll official detail Trump voters death threat. One woman who Trump called a hustler said she was bombarded with death threats and racist abuse. Interesting. When will all this thing be over? I bet you it's never going nowhere. Now, jury find Cosby assaulted teen at Playboy Mansion. The former comedian must pay damages to Judy Huth for abusing her in 1975. A jury has found. It's not facing criminal charge. So, if a civil charge, then he will get away with that, wouldn't he? He'll be able to pay that. Now, Lithuania banned the transit of some goods to Russia's Kaliningrad region over EU sanctions. Well, what is going to be the repercussion for the whole of Europe? Well, some of the stories making the rounds. Now, prices continue to rise at fastest rate for 40 years. That's UK inflation hit 9.1% in the year to May as fuel, energy, and food prices soar. The question once again is, are they not still dredging or getting the crude oil? Has Nigeria stopped producing crude oil? Has Saudi Arabia stopped producing crude oil? Has the UK stopped producing crude oil? So what exactly is happening? Earlier on they said, because of the COVID. Now, no COVID. Now they say because of the Ukrainian war. Is it only Russia that produces crude oil? What percentage does Russia contribute to the crude oil industry? Well, but they say it's all because of those things. Now, strike talks resume as travelers face more delays. The RMT are meeting rail bosses to try to resolve the dispute over jobs, pay, and condition. And Glastonbury opens as far as endure travel disruptions, where the farm will welcome more than 200,000 festival goers, but some have had to change their plans due to the travel situation at the moment. And a boy 13 dies after being found in a river. The body of the teenager was recovered following an extensive search by emergency services. Was he swept by the river, or what actually happened? UK set to admit lone teenage refugees from Ukraine. A rule change will mean UK visas for some young people after months in limbo. Well, this and a lot more going to be coming your way. It is Starr Radio UK. Just going TikTok, just a few seconds to 11 o'clock. But let's take this music uninterrupted now, and I'll be with you. Stay tuned. Don't you go away. Starr Radio UK. Nana Manuel.
It go happen. If I know say it go happen. As God say it go do then if I know say it go happen. It go happen. If I know say it go happen. As God say it go do then if I know say, everybody say it go happen. Settle it. If I know say it go happen. As God say it go do then if I know say it go happen. It go happen. If I know say it go happen. Yeah. As God say it go do one more time. Everybody. trust in chariots, but we have your name, oh Lord. Have faith in God, lean not on your own understanding. I take it again. Some trust in horses, others trust in chariots, but we have your name, oh Lord. Have faith in God, lean not on your own understanding. One more time, hey. Have faith in God, lean not on your own understanding. 1, 2, everybody say, it go happen.
This is Starr Radio UK. All around the world. In your car, at home. This is Starr Radio UK.
It go happen. Certainly. It doesn't matter what you're going through. Hold on, hold on. It doesn't matter what you're going through. Trust in God.
This is Starr Radio UK. In your car, at home,
on your smartphone, casting worldwide, online 24/7.
You are listening to Starr Radio. Women's Conference Lady to Lady Global Conference 2022. Theme, Joy. Date, Saturday, 30th July. Doors open at 11 a.m. Venue, Fairview's Concert Halls, the Phoenix Theater, Croydon, CR91DG3, United Kingdom. Register on www.ladytoladyglobal.org. Music Minister, CLC Healing Voices. Simeon. Queenie. Ada Ahi.
Congratulations, I have seen the glory of God.
Conference speakers Reverend Betty King, Pastor Marjorie, Pastor Sandra.
I did come to Lady, and from that day onwards, my life has never been the same.
See you there.
Welcome back to the program. It is Star Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London, bringing the time now to exactement 6 minutes past the top of the hour, and it is the Wednesday edition of the morning show. Thank you to each and every one of you who are tuned in to join us on this wonderful journey, the journey to the known, not the unknown. Okay, as I said earlier on, this evening, exactly at 18 hours BST or UK time, let's put that that way. Yes, Mr. Olayomi Koiki will be joining you with Niger Voices. But today, this morning, he's posted all the stories that I need to look at so that I can put out your way whilst he prepares to bring you that bash of a program once again this evening. So, don't you go away. Yes. Some stories making around this morning. To deputize Kwankwaso, that's what my apologies, let me get it again, LP NPP coalition Obi must agree to deputize Kwankwaso. That's what a spokesman has said. Now, the story saying the National Publicity Secretariat, Secretary of the new Nigeria People's Party, the NNPP, Dr. Mojo Agbo, on Tuesday said that the only condition for a coalition with the Labour Party is for Peter Obi, the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, to deputize former Kano State Governor Rabiu Kwankwaso. Now, there were earlier reported that the presidential candidate of the NNPP, Kwankwaso, had admitted that his party was negotiating a possible coalition with the LP leadership and its candidate Peter Obi. Now, Agbo argued that although let me buttress this bit. Explaining that Kwankwaso has affected the lives of ordinary people, Agbo noted that his antecedents speak for him and therefore should be allowed to head the LP/NNPP arrangement. We have continued to receive calls. A lot of people have called to say, no, we will not accept that. That's the only thing we want you to arrive at is a conclusion that Peter Obi will be deputy, he maintained. Now, Agbo argued that although Obi is a nice man who has also done well, it is unacceptable that he should lead whatever political agreement is reached as it concerns the 2023 presidential election. On the argument that Kwankwaso is only restricted to Kano and perhaps Jigawa, the party spokesman said those who believe that were being misled, insisting that the party has existed for 21 years. For anybody to quickly dismiss the NNPP as being in one or two states is not correct. What I can tell you is that the party is heavily on the ground and we have our structures everywhere, he maintained. For anybody to try to dismiss us as existing in one or two states, I think that the person is speaking out of ignorance, he explained. He also dismissed insinuations that the NNPP LP Plan Alliance was just a distraction for the ruling All Progressive Congress and the opposition People's Democratic Party, noting that the parties were ready to take over government. Well, so that is what is coming your way from that camp. Well, the question that has been on the lips of all Nigerians, or most Nigerians, is will this 2023 election take place at all? And how will it fare? Looking at the insecurity issues going on there. Now, looking at the promises that people are giving, left, right, center, middle, call it, whatever it is. Well, what do you think it's going to be? Now, Nigerians looking for alternatives to PDP and APC call themselves obedient, Obaseki says there. Now, Godwin Obaseki of Edo State has raised the alarm about the impact of obedient movement on the chances of the ruling All Progressive Congress and People's Democratic Party in the 2023 presidential election. The obedient movement refers to the supporters of the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi. That's why they are known as the obedient. Okay, in a video published by the AIT which has now gone viral, Obaseki noted that youth in Nigeria no longer want APC and PDP. The future of our politics is changing. If you have been watching the level of disenchantment with the existing political parties, I am sure in all our homes we have people who call themselves obedient. Ask them which party you belong to, they say obedient. They don't want us. Now, they're not talking about APC or PDP, they're looking for alternatives. Also, the former national chairman of the All Progressive Grand Alliance, Victor Ume, has stated that the mass movement trailing the presidential aspiration of the Labour Party candidate was giving APC and PDP sleepless nights and serious scare. Now, speaking on the development in Anambra, Ume said the support of Nigerians for the former governor of Anambra State and presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Mr. Peter Obi, is giving sleepless nights and serious scare to members of All Progressive Congress and People's Democratic Party and other parties ahead of the 2023 election. The APC, PDP, and other political parties are afraid of Peter Obi because of his resolve to banish poverty and ability to manage the country's resources. Well, it is all coming your way from Starr Radio UK. Is Obaseki saying the truth, or is it again stomach politics? So you say what? We'll make sure that you get something in your stomach. Is that what it's doing? Or if you're listening to me, do you believe what Obaseki is saying? Maybe you do, maybe I don't, but maybe you do. Maybe because you are down there or you have more information pertaining to what Obaseki is saying, you reckon that what he's saying is a right thing and it's something definitely that can happen. But what do you think? Let me know your take on that. Feel free to paste it on our Facebook page, or post it on our Facebook page, and I promise you I'm gonna read it out. But it's all coming your way from Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Now, moving on straight to some other stories making the rounds there as well. President Muhammadu Buhari will depart Abuja today for Kigali, Rwanda, to attend the 26th Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting being held from June 20 to 26. So we have Prince Charles. I know the president of Ghana too will be on his way. They love meetings, don't they? Yes. The theme for the CHOGM, the COM 2022, is delivering a common future, connecting, innovating, transforming. The president's spokesman, Mr. Femi Adesina, has said this in a statement on Wednesday in Abuja. According to Adesina, the president will join other leaders in discussions on the progress and prosperity of the more than 2 billion people living in the 54 independent countries in Africa, Asia, the Americas, Europe, and the Pacific that make up the Commonwealth. Now, the heads of government are expecting to reaffirm their commitment to upholding the Commonwealth Charter, which focuses on democracy, human rights, the rule of law, as well as economic opportunities and sustainable development, he said. Okay, now the Nigerian leader, according to the media aid, will attend the official opening ceremony on June the 24th, followed by high-level meetings of head of state and government on Friday the 24th and Saturday the 25th. He said the leaders are expecting to consider a range of topical issues including post-COVID-19 economic recovery, debt sustainability, climate change, poverty reduction, youth entrepreneurship and employment, trade and food security. Now, prior to this, the Nigerian delegation, drawn from the public, private, and youth organization, participated in 4 forums covering youth, women, business, and civil society, and will engage in ministerial meetings and several side events. On the margins of the meeting, the Nigerian leader is scheduled to deliver remarks at the high-level session of Malaria and Neglected Tropical Diseases Summit and participate in intergenerational dialogue for the youth. President Buhari is also expected to hold bilateral talks with some leaders from the Commonwealth countries, he further stated. Well, so the biennial meeting was due to take place in June 2020, but was postponed twice due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Well, so it's taking place from the 20th to the 26th in Kigali, Rwanda. Well, Let's move on to some other story as well. So on election 2023 for Nigeria, PDP presidential candidate Atiku is raising his team to woo Wike. Now he's trying to get Wike on his team. Now will Wike accept it or what? Now the presidential candidate for the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar, has set up a committee to reach out to the governor of Rivers State, Nyesom Wike, and other aggressive members of the party. Now, Governor Wike has remained silent since the former vice president decided to pick the governor of Delta State, Ifeanyi Okowa, as his running mate. Atiku, in his plan to win the 2023 presidential election, set up the committee to woo the aggrieved members to come on board. Now, Wike's silence in the affairs of the party has seen two of his allies, a former minister of Niger Delta, Godsey Orubebe, and an ex-commissioner in Edo State, Kasim Afegbua, dumped the PDP on Tuesday. A chieftain of the party who spoke on condition of anonymity with Punch, one of the newspapers in Nigeria, on the development issue, said Atiku wanted to tell Wike about his choice of Okowa one-on-one, but then he heard that Wike had returned to Rivers. That clearly showed good faith. Even though Wike was not the selected candidate, Atiku wanted to accord him respect by letting him know before the news got to the public. Well, Atiku has set up a reconciliatory committee to reach out to Wike and mend the cracks. Atiku understands they need to go to the 2023 elections with a united front. Everyone will be pacified. Not only Wike, but every aggrieved person within the party. How are they going to be pacified? Are they going to be promised heaven and earth when they win the elections? Well, and that is where it all begins. Well, it is Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Now, Peter Obi reacts to endorsement by Sanusi, Sultan of Sokoto. Now, Doyin Okupe, the running mate of Peter Obi, is presidential candidate of the Labour Party in respect to the 2023 election. As this stands the former Anambra State governor from a purported endorsement by a former Emir of Kano State, Sanusi Lamido Sanusi. Now, reports that a news portal reports that the viral statement posted several times across different social media platforms has chided the presidential candidate of the All Progressive Congress, Bola Tinubu, and the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar. In another screenshot being circulated on social media, it was claimed that the Sultan of Sokoto, Muhammadu Sa'ad Abubakar, promised to mobilize 5 million votes for Peter Obi. Now, while I will mobilize 5 million votes in the north for Peter Obi, I have never believed in an Igbo man the way I believe in Peter Obi, the Sultan. That's from the Sultan, the Post read. But Obi's camp has rubbished the report. We disassociate ourselves from the purported endorsement of his candidacy by His Royal Highness Lamido Sanusi and His Eminence, the Sultan of Sokoto. We plead with all our supporters to please desist from creating falsehood in the social media. Let's focus on claims that are verifiable and true, Okukwe said via Twitter yesterday. Well, those are some of the stories making the rounds in Nigeria today. It is all coming away from Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London, bringing the time now to 20 minutes past the top of the hour, and it brings us to the end of the updates from Nigeria. We're going to be moving on straight to some of the other stories making the rounds on the African continent, and this is around from Ghana. The Ghana's parliament has set up an ad hoc committee to investigate the circumstances surrounding the outsourcing of cocoa rehabilitation programs to a private company. The government, through the Ministry of Food and Agriculture and Cocoa Affairs, secured a loan of $600 million from investments in the cocoa sector. Out of the amount, over $140 million was to be used in the replacement of diseased diseased and overaged cocoa trees under the cocoa rehabilitation program. Now, the Ministry of Agriculture then deployed extension officers, and other recruits to undertake the exercise of cutting down the affected cocoa trees and replacing them. However, in a letter to all regional managers in possession of some media houses, the executive director of Cocoa Health and Extensive Division of Cocoa Board, Dr. Emmanuel Ni Taki Otu, directed the exercise to be handed over to private service providers. Now, Bia East MP Richard Achampong on Tuesday, June 21, brought the matter to the attention of Parliament, prompting Second Deputy Speaker Andrew Siama to set up the committee to investigate the matter. Now, speaking to parliamentary correspondent Ibrahim Al-Hassan, the Bia East MP questioned what the amount allocated for the exercise have been put to. According to him, the government is capable of undertaking exercises rather than engaging private hands. Creating Quangos. Well, what do you think about it? It is All Star Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Okay. Now, moving on straight to another story making the rounds in Ghana as well. Now, one presidential aspirant, okay, he's been around for some time now, by name Kofi Akpaloo, Percival Kofi Akpaloo, founder and leader of the Liberal Party of Ghana, LPG. It's not a gas, so it wouldn't explode. Has urged Ghanaians to kick the two leading parties in the country to curb as they have done the country a disservice. The Ghanaians need to push the MPP and NDC to the curb by coming to their senses and voting the LPG into power to turn things around. It will take 6 months to turn things around when I'm president, and this is all through confidence, he stated. Now, back in the day when we had candidate Akufo-Addo, he said when he comes into office, the first year, he gave first 100 days, few pledges or some pledges that they put across. Now we're going to do that. We're going to do that. It is a gas or comedy. That means we are sitting on money, or the country has got lots of resources or finances, and then we are as hungry and poor as we are. So promising heaven and earth. However, what do we see now? Now, I don't even know why we import poultry to Ghana. I will ban the importation of poultry in 6 months after being elected president, he said. The planting of maize and rearing of fish is one of the many ways through which he promised to improve the capacity of local poultry farmers. Now, feed is a serious problem. We will plant more maize and rear fishes to cater for that. I say I will ban the importation of poultry in 6 months because it takes 2 months for broilers to mature. According to him, the investment in the poultry sector will see some selected poultry farmers receive as much as $5 million to expand their businesses. We import poultry worth $500 million per year, but if we are able to raise enough birds locally, then this money can be injected into our economy, project our currency, and increase employment. So we're talking about billions, okay? Now he's talking about 500 million that of importation that comes into the country. Would somebody say that's big money? However, I'm looking at it that, well, there are a lot of places where, or issues where they could deal with that will help the country as a whole. But what do we see? Well, it's all coming away from Starr Radio UK. Don't you go away. Let's take a quick commercial break, and once we come back, I'll bring you the rest of some of the stories making the rounds in Ghana. One more from them. My apologies, my screen seemed to have frozen, but bear with us.
Hi guys, this is your friend Uruj from SendWave. SendWave is a money transfer app that is used by people all over the world to send money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it. You're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR. S for Star, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit.
Getting onto the property ladder has never been easy until now. Join us this and every Thursday from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. live on the Property Hour show on Starr Radio UK, where we talk to mortgage brokers, property developers, estate agents, landlord, tenant, property consultants on how to invest or get into the property business and make money. You can't afford to miss this. The Property Hour show is your best source into the property industry.
All ladies, you are invited to our premier 13th annual Women's Conference Lady to Lady Global Conference 2022. Theme: Joy. Date: Saturday, 30th July. Doors open at 11 a.m. Venue: Fairview's Concert Halls, the Phoenix Theater, Croydon, CR91DG3, United Kingdom. Register on www.ladytoladyglobal.org. Music Minister CLC Healing Voices. Simeon. Queenie, Ada Ahi.
Congratulations, I have seen the glory of God.
Conference speakers Reverend Betty King, Pastor Marjorie, Pastor Sandra.
I did come to Lady, and from that day onwards, my life has never been the same.
See you there.
Welcome back to the program. It is Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. 11:27 the time. I'll be opening the lines in the next 3 minutes, so you can add your voice to the discussions. But once again, let me sincerely apologize for the freezing of the image. The camera did freeze a moment ago, but hey, it's up and running. So, do you think that a third force, maybe just kicking off the two big political parties, that is MPP, NDC, gonna kick them out, kick on the curb, and then getting Akpalu in? He come in with an agenda of investing in the poultry industry, and he said that the 6 months that will saving that 500 million dollars will just bring the country back to its feet, where we're supposed to be. What do you think about that? Well, it's all coming away from Starr Radio UK. Now, one final story. Now, the executive director of the National Cathedral Secretariat had refuted claims of making payment to gospel musician Sonny Badu. Dr. Paul Opoku Mensah, in a press release issued on Tuesday, indicated that Sonny Badu was not paid for performing at the launch of the National Cathedral fundraising at Washington, D.C. on February 8, 2019. The Secretariat of the National Cathedral has not paid any money. Neither is it aware of any such payment to Sonny Badu. He stated. Now, according to him, he was not given a dime for his performance, adding that not even a seat was provided for me and my team. Okay. Now, as a result, the Ningo Pram Pram MP Sam George called on the government to disclose who took the money. They claim to have paid Sonny Badu $550,000 for a song ministration at the launch. At the launch, they claim now he has come to say he was not given a dime and not even a seat was offered to him and his team. So who took the $50,000? Surely the trustees do not know about this. Now again, they claim to have paid 30,000 Ghana cedis to each of the gospel artists who ministered at the launch here in Accra. Can those artists also confirm if they received these monies? He quizzed in a Facebook post on Tuesday, June the 21. Now again, Sam George has asked the churches in the country to distance themselves from the controversial National Cathedral project And it said the association with the project would do their reputation more harm than good. Some judge in his Facebook post indicated that although he had wanted to remain silent on the issues surrounding the project, current developments have compelled him to speak up. Well, everybody speaks up, don't we? Well, so are you speaking up? Do you think the government is doing the right thing when it comes to that project at all? Well, this is all coming your way from Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Let's now move on to other parts of the world to have a look at some of the stories making the rounds. But this will be after this commercial break. Stay tuned. Don't you go away.
Hi guys, this is your friend Uruj from SendWave. SendWave is a money transfer app that is used by people all over the world to send money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it. You're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR. S for Star, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit.
Getting onto the property ladder has never been easy until now. Join us this and every Thursday from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. live on the Property Hour show on Starr Radio UK, where we talk to mortgage brokers, property developers, estate agents, landlord, tenant, property consultants on how to invest or get into the property business and make money. You can't afford to miss this. The Property Hour show is your best source into the property industry.
Are you looking for the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy door-to-door shipment company? Well, look no further. When was the last time your family received a shipment back in Ghana on time and in time? You are not sure? Well, Lamb Shippers, we pride ourselves with being the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy shippers you can use. You are assured of a prompt pickup anywhere in the UK by our personnel. They also make sure your items are well packaged to get to its destination in time. When it comes to door-to-door shipment, look no further. Well, Lamb Shippers, contact us on 07939009321 or 07498911820. Or you can visit our website www.welllamp.co.uk. You can also drop us a mail, info@welllamp@gmail.com. Well Lamp Shippers, fast, reliable, and trustworthy. Welcome back to the program. It is Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Yes, 11:33 the time. The lines are open if you want to join in. If you are calling from the UK or in Europe, it is 0208-133-2257 or 58 0208-133-2257 or 58. If you happen to be in the US, Canada, or the Caribbean area, it is 001-718-303-2737 001-718-303-2737. You can also text or WhatsApp as it is 07539661744 07539661744, and I promise you I'm gonna read I'm going to read your comments if you do. And then our Twitter handle is @Starr Radio UK. Email address is info@starradiouk.com. Whatever you do, don't you go away. Continue to share your take with us wherever you might be. And once again, welcome. At 12 o'clock, as I've said, I'll be taking you to the House of Parliament for the Prime Minister's question time. Okay, now the devastation story that happened this morning, or that broke this morning, it pertains to about 920 people who are said to have been killed and 600 who are wounded, officials saying from Afghanistan. A powerful earthquake has killed at least 920 people and left 100 more injured in Afghanistan, Taliban officials have said. Now, pictures show landslides and ruined mud-built homes in eastern Paktika province, where rescuers have been scrambling to treat the injured. In remote areas, helicopters have been ferrying victims to hospitals. Now, Taliban leaders Hibatullah Akhundzada said hundreds of houses were destroyed and the death toll was likely to rise. His deputy minister for disaster management, Sharifuddin Muslim, told a news conference at least 920 people have been killed and a further 600 injured, making it Afghanistan's deadliest earthquake into the case. It struck about 44 kilometers, that's 27 miles from the southeastern city of Khost, shortly after 1:30 local time, that is 21 hours on Tuesday, GMT, when many people were at home asleep in their beds. Now, every street you go, you hear people mourning the death of their beloved ones. Houses are ruined. A local journalist in a badly hit Paktika province said that it's very devastating. Earthquake tends to cause significant damage in Afghanistan, where dwellings in many rural areas are unstable or poorly built. Communication following the earthquake is difficult because of damage to mobile phone towers and the death toll could rise further still, another local journalist said. Now, many people are not aware of the well-being of their relatives because their phones are not working, he said. Now, my brother and his family died and I just learned it after many hours. Many villages have been destroyed. Well, a sad one there. Our condolences and to the dead. May they rest in perfect peace. And our thoughts are with the people of Afghanistan. It's all coming your way from Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Now, election officials face relentless pressure from former President Donald Trump and his supporters to overturn his defeat in the 2020 poll a congressional panel has held. Now, electoral Republicans as well as poll workers say they were threatened. A Georgia vote counter said she was forced to temporarily leave her home, while in Arizona, officials said protesters called him a pedophile. Now, the House of Representatives panel accuses Mr. Trump of an attempted coup. The select committee has conducted a nearly year-long investigation into how Trump supporters invaded Congress on the 6th of January to disrupt lawmakers as they certified Democrat Joe Biden election victory. Mr. Trump has stood by his disproven claim he only lost the 2020 presidential vote because of fraud and has dismissed the panel as a political witch hunt. On Tuesday, in the fourth public hearing so far, the panel heard from election workers in the states of Arizona and Georgia. Mr. Biden defeated Mr. Trump in both states, which had previously backed Republicans for the White House. We received in excess 20,000 emails and tens of thousands of voicemails and texts, which saturated our offices, and we were unable to at least communicate, said Rusty Bowers, Speaker of the Arizona House of Representatives. The witness who campaigned for Mr. Trump in 2020 said the threats and insults have continued, with protesters outside his house attempting to smear him as a pedophile. dirty politics, you know. It's not only on the African continent, but we see it being played live in the US. My goodness. Well, so if those of us in that part of the developing world decide to go on that track or that path, what does that mean? Can we tag them? Well. Who will be the worst to come and criticize them? Now, Saudi Arabia's crown prince is to visit Turkey for the first time since 2018 murder of journalist Jamal Khashoggi in its Istanbul consulate. Now, President Recep Tayyip Erdogan will hold one-on-one talks with Mohammed bin Salman aimed at repairing damaged ties. Mr. Erdogan once indirectly accused the prince of ordering Saudi's agent to kill Khashoggi. He denied any involvement. The visit comes as Turkey seeks trade investment and assistance to help it deal with worsening economic crisis. It has also worked to improve relations with the United Arab Emirates, Egypt, and Israel after years of tensions. Now, Prince Mohammed, meanwhile, wants to end his international isolation. He also visited Jordan and Egypt this week as part of Middle East tour, and next month will meet U.S. President Joe Biden, who promised in 2019 to make Saudi Arabia the pariah that they are over Khashoggi's murder. Well, are they going to be doing? Will he be able to do that at all? That is one question that is being on the lips of people, because we know the West have got one interest, and the interest is their interest. If it's in their interest, they will go on. But if it's against them, then tick tick tick. Nothing is going to happen there. So what do you think is going to happen there? Well, it's Starr Radio UK. Now, in Russia has warned Lithuania of serious consequences after it banned the rail transfer of some goods to the Russian territory of Kaliningrad. Now, Russia will certainly respond to such hostile actions, senior security officials Nikolai Patrushev said. Now, Lithuania says it is only following the EU sanctions imposed over Moscow's invasion of Ukraine. Now, Kaliningrad, a strategic region where Russia-Baltic Fleet is headquartered, has no border with mainland Russia. So the Western Territory was annexed from Germany after World War II in 1945 and is bordered by EU and NATO members Lithuania and Poland. The region, where an estimated 1 million people live, relies heavily on imports of raw materials and spare parts from Russia and the EU. Now, Regional Governor Anton Alikhanov said the ban will cover around 50% of the items that Kaliningrad imports. Now, it goes on further to say that during a visit on Tuesday to Kaliningrad, Mr. Patrushev said the blockade by Lithuania was instigated by the West in violation of international law. The Secretary of Russia's Security Council warned that appropriate measures will be taking place in the near future. Their consequences will have a serious negative impact on the population of Lithuania, he added, without giving any further details. Earlier on Tuesday, the EU ambassador was summoned to Russia's foreign ministry over the blockade. Well, last week, the Lithuanian authorities announced that they will ban goods subject to EU sanctions from passing through their territory to Kaliningrad. Now, Lithuanian Foreign Ministry, the minister Gabrielius Landsbergis said it is not Lithuania doing anything. It's European sanctions that started working from the 17th of June. It was done with consultation from the European Commission and under European Commission guidelines. So if you want to go after them, go after the EU, not Lithuania. That's what they mean to say. Well, it's all coming away from Starr Radio UK. Let me say good mornings to Adebayo Sunday. He said, good morning, everyone. Good morning to you. Yoruba Nation is the best way to go. Yes. Thank you very much, Adebayo, for your comments there. It is Starr Radio UK. And as I've been announcing this evening, exactly at 18 hours BST, Mr. Olayomi Koiki will be coming your way with Niger Voices, where we look at detailed stories making the rounds in that geographical area at the moment still known as Nigeria, right? I think I've appeased everybody there. All right then. So it is Starr Radio UK. Now, coming to the telltale end of the program, let's quickly look at some of the stories making the rounds. Okay. My apologies. Just bear with me as I quickly. Okay. My producer has said I need to see to that. The U.S. Senate has taken a first step towards passing what has been called the most significant new gun controls in a generation. Now, senators voted to speed up the passage of their bipartisan bill, meaning it could be signed into law next week. Although significant, the proposal falls short of what many Democrats and activists have called for in the wake of a spate of mass shootings. The measures include tougher background checks for buyers younger than 21. The bill calls for funding to encourage states to implement red flag laws to remove firearms from people considered a threat. The act also includes $15 billion or 12.2 billion pounds in federal funding for mental health programs and school security upgrades. Now, and it closes the so-called boyfriend loophole by blocking gun sales to those convicted of abusing or married intimate partners. It is the first time in decades that proposed gun safety legislation has received this level of support from both Republicans and Democrat Party senators. Tuesday's evening Senate vote, which was only procedural, passed 64 to 34 in less than 2 hours after the final text was circulated. It's all coming away from Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Now let's come to the UK and let me bring you the final part of the story. After this quick commercial break, whilst I have a sip on some water. What about that? Alright, stay tuned. Don't you go away.
All ladies, you are invited to our premier 13th annual Women's Conference, Lady to Lady Global Conference 2022. Theme, Joy. Date, Saturday, 30th July. Doors open at 11 a.m. Venue, Fairview's Concert Halls, the Phoenix Theater, Croydon, CR91DG3, United Kingdom. Register on www.ladytoladyglobalorg. Music Minister, CLC Healing Voices. Simeon. Queenie, Ada Ahi.
Congratulations, I have seen the glory of God.
Conference speakers, Reverend Betty King, Pastor Marjorie, Pastor Sandra.
I did come to Lady, and from that day onwards, my life has never been the same.
See you there.
Welcome back to the program Starr Radio UK. That event takes place on the 30th of July. So make your way there. All right, and now let's move on to the final segment of the program for this morning. It's a Wednesday edition of the morning show, and therefore, you know, as it goes on, we bring you all the news, and then we take you to the Houses of Parliament for the Prime Minister's question time. So now let's look at the final stories making the rounds in the UK. Now, prices. UK inflation hits 9.1% as prices rise at fastest rate for 40 years. Oh my. Now, prices are continuing to rise at their fastest rate for 40 years as food, energy, and fuel cost climbs. Now, UK inflation, the rate at which price rises edge up to 9.1% in the 12 months to May from 9% in April, the Office of National Statistics has said. Now, higher food prices, particularly for bread, cereal, and meat, help drive the latest rise in the cost of living. Now, the figures come as workers and unions push for pay rises to help them cope with higher prices. But the government has warned against employers handing out big increase in salaries over fears of a 1970s-style inflationary spiral where prices continue to rise as wages went up. Now, currently, inflation is at the highest level since March 1982, when it also stood at 9.1%, and the Bank of England was warned it will reach 11% this year. Now, inflation is the pace at which the prices are rising. For example, if a bottle of milk costs £1 and that rises up to by 5p compared with a year earlier, then milk inflation is 5%. So a bit of education for those of you who don't know what inflation is. Okay, so what is inflation in your own personal economy? when it comes to your rent, your clothing, your transportation. What inflation do you see there? Okay, Adebayo has posted a couple of stories there, and Adebayo says, we don't have a wonderful, great leader in this country called Nigeria. Useless country, useless government, useless people. Oh my goodness, everywhere. I'm a great Yoruba citizen. Dubai is a great nation in the world. So lovely, beautiful country. Adebayo, are you in Dubai? I think you are enjoying the good things in Dubai. Okay, well, we hope that Nigeria reform somewhere somehow, whether together, whether as splinter of nations or whatever it is. I hope that it works, because if Nigeria is okay, if you are okay, I will also be okay, wouldn't it? All right then. So Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. 10 minutes to the top of the hour, the morning show. I am Archie. Now moving on straight to some other stories. Yesterday we did talk about the rail strikes. We did talk about the rail strikes as well. But it ended. But talks to end the dispute has resumed today as travelers face more delays, because tomorrow is going to be coming on once again. Now talks to end the rail strike have resumed as train services in Britain continue to be disrupted. Now, millions of people were affected on Tuesday after rail workers walked out in the largest strike in decades. Now, strikes are not being held on Wednesday, but only 60% of trains are running. The Network Rail's chief executive negotiator, Tim Shoveler, in a dispute with the RMT union, said he wanted to keep talking until they could achieve a deal. The RMT, whose members are striking over jobs, pay, and conditions, are meeting with the Network Rail and train companies. It is not known how long talks will go on for. But Mr. Chavela stressed that there was still time for talking. It's really important we continue to stress the fact that there is no need to have a strike. It doesn't help, he said. The fact there is a strike means that we lose money in the industry, as well as upsetting our passengers and causing disruption to the wider economy. So a really key objective for me is to make sure we get these strikes called off at the earliest possible opportunity. And this will come your way from Starr Radio UK. Now it goes on further to say it's understood that it will be too late to prevent the talks will be too late to prevent disruption on Thursday due to the timetable being set. Now Thursday's strike is set to be identical in terms of impact, with half of the network closed and only 20% of services running, with some areas having no trains at all. Within 48 hours notice, disruption on Saturday could be avoided if a deal is agreed. It is understood, and we hope that at least a deal is agreed so that at least the Saturday one will be averted. It is all coming your way from Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Interestingly, too, we have the Chancellor of the Exchequer, or those of the ONS, and all those people there also saying that no, you don't have to. Companies don't have to increase the salaries up. But looking at the rate, and people, whatever we are earning, it's not enough. Look at the inflation. If my pay is not rising up per the inflation rate, so whatever, so I assume I have £100 that I could depend on perfectly, or it's just an example I'm giving, okay, in a month. Now the inflation that has come, so everything is gone up by 9%. So now where am I going to get that £9 from to make a good or be able to live comfortably the way I'm living? Meanwhile, there are some others who are enjoying it. So people like this demonstration, this strike that are going on, people are just going to be going on to make sure that they get something that they think that is worth they're getting. But again, my question has been, which I've been asking since Monday, has been that now we're talking about modernization, we're talking about technology, we're talking about now that it's not everybody who has to be in the office to be working, so you can work from home. People were living in the Caribbean area in the sun, and they were there still working here. So they just have to log on the system, good internet facility or services, and then boom, 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 you are working perfectly. Nothing. So you don't necessarily have to be in the office to do that. Okay. Even in broadcasting, earlier on, we have to be carrying big cameras and all that stuff. Go to this thing and no. Now somebody can just be there, just take a handset, a phone, and then pam. We can just link the whole thing, and then we can get the person communicating with us. So you see that development or advancement in technology is actually cutting down the human interface when it comes to employment or jobs. So the question that I've been asking myself this morning is that, what do we do? How can we actually deal with this? Because if the owners or the companies who run this transport and these trains decide that, look, now we're going to get trains that doesn't need any conductor, it just needs one driver, okay, an operator who can just move the train from point A to point B, because we've got all the computerized system that is moving the train. So under such circumstance, definitely people are going to lose their jobs. But how do we see to address that? And if I'm running a company, I'm not a charity. I want to make profit because it's an investment for people. So you get it, the catch-22 situation. But if you're listening to us, maybe you have an idea of what should be. Don't you worry, I'll have time for you tomorrow, God willing, once we come on. But I've got one other story that I'll put across, and then we bring the first part of the program to a close. Now, in reaction to the tougher time that we find ourselves in, some Asda shoppers are setting £30 limit at checkpoints and petrol pumps. The supermarket chairman has said. Now, customers are putting less in their basket, switching to budget ranges, and are worried about the future, said Lord Stuart Rose. Now, it comes after food and fuel costs soared in the UK inflation, the rate at which the prices rise, which I've talked about. Lord Rose said he saw the inflation rise coming last year like a train coming through a tunnel with a big flashing light on the top. Now it's time to fasten our seatbelts, he said. People are trading back. They are worried about spending, he said. They've got a limit that they have set out to. They say £30 is one limit, and if they get to more than £30, then that's it. Stop. It's the same with petrol. Lord Rose said the country was facing some very tough times and urged the government to do more to help low-income households. But the Treasury said it's understood people are struggling with rising prices, and it will make cost of living payments of $1,200 to those on the lowest income. Lord Rose also addressed government concerns that supermarkets were not passing on March's 5p litre cut in fuel duty, insisting as the price changes were done the same day. Well, so that means if you have to buy a fuel, go to others to go and buy. But if you live far off from there, but the distance that you have to travel to that place to go and buy it at that rate, by the time you get home or your destination, I bet it would have been a waste of money. But well, whatever it is, this is where I bring the program to a close for today. As I've said, now this evening exactly at 18 hours BST, Mr. Olayomi Koiki will be coming your way with Niger Voices. So wherever you are, don't you go away at all. Omore George, let me say good morning to you as well. Thank you very much for joining us, and to as many of you who have joined us today, I really appreciate your patronage, and I ask that Lord may God continue to bless you, and whatever your situation or whatever thing that you find yourself to do today, may it be rewarding. Until I see you tomorrow, let me say bye-bye for now. I'll be taking you to the House of Parliament for the Prime Minister's question time. Stay tuned and don't you go away. That'll be after this short commercial break.
Hi guys, this is your friend Uruj from SendWave. SendWave is a money transfer app that is used by people all over the world to send money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission-free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it. You're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR. S for Starr, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit.
Getting onto the property ladder has never been easy until now. Join us this and every Thursday from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. live on the Property Hour show on Starr Radio UK, where we talk to mortgage brokers, property developers, estate agents, landlord, tenant, property consultants on how to invest or get into the property business and make money. You can't afford to miss this. The Property Hour show is your best source into the property industry.
Are you looking for the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy door-to-door shipment company? Well, look no further. When was the last time your family received a shipment back in Ghana on time and in time? You are not sure? Well, Lamb Shippers, we pride ourselves with being the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy shippers you can use. You are assured of a prompt pickup anywhere in the UK by our personnel. They also make sure your items are well packaged to get to its destination in time. When it comes to door-to-door shipment, look no further. Well, Lamb Shippers, contact us on 07939009321 or 07498911820. Or you can visit our website www.welllamp.co.uk. You can also drop us a mail, info@welllamp@gmail.com. Well Lamp Shippers, fast, reliable, and trustworthy.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for that thunderous welcome back to the dispatch box. I'm happy to say to the Shadow Minister that we will absolutely do that. I was only yesterday in Carrickfergus with the son-in-law of the Honourable Gentleman up there, seeing a new 4G or 5G pitch. We are absolutely committed to levelling up, and as my right honourable friend the Prime Minister has made clear, levelling up is the mission of this government. It is not about north-south, it is about improving life opportunities in communities across the whole of the United Kingdom, especially in Northern Ireland.
That must be the loudest cheer any minister's ever had before. Well done, Minister. Before we come to Prime Minister's questions, I'd like to point out the British Sign Language interpretation of proceedings is available to watch on Parliament Live TV. We now start with questions to Prime Minister Chris Elmore.
Number one, sir. Mr. Speaker, to mark Windrush Day, today sees the unveiling of a national monument at Waterloo Station that acknowledges the Windrush generation's outstanding contribution to British society and will also be a permanent place of reflection. Mr. Speaker, as part of Armed Forces Week, I was delighted to host a reception yesterday in Downing Street. Members across the House are immensely proud of our armed forces, and we thank them and their families for their service to our country. And Mr. Speaker, I know the House will welcome the deal that we've signed with Moderna, which will see them build new facilities in the UK, including around £1 billion of new investment in research and development. Mr. Speaker, this morning I had meetings with ministerial colleagues and others. In addition to my duties in this House, I shall have further such meetings later today, and I will be travelling thereafter to Chogum in Rwanda. I will then be attending the G7 Leaders Summit and the NATO Summit, Mr. Speaker, so a full budget of news for you there.
Chris Elmore.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can I associate myself with the Prime Minister's comments in relation to the armed forces and other comments? Prime Minister, has he ever considered the appointment of his current spouse to a government post or to any organisation in one of the royal households? Be honest, Prime Minister, yes or no?
Yes or no?
Mr. Speaker, I know why the party opposite wants to talk about non-existent jobs in the media, Mr. Speaker, because they don't want to talk about what's going on in the real world. I'm proud to to say, actually, that we now have 620,000 people more in payroll employment than before the pandemic began, which would never have been possible if we listened to the right honourable gentleman opposite.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The UK is the global leader in social outcomes contracts. They can deliver public services in an array of areas from healthcare, mental health care, employment, education and development aid. According to Big Society Capital, every £1 the government has spent in this way has delivered £10 in a further economic, social and fiscal value, including £3 in direct savings to government. Does my right honourable friend agree that the time is right for the government to redouble its focus on these outcomes-led commissioning?
My honourable friend is absolutely right to champion this type of approach, which makes a real difference to people's lives, people suffering from mental health issues, helping them to find a route back into work. And that's why we are commissioning more initiatives through such funds as the Life Chances Fund, helping those people in society who face the biggest barriers to have happy and productive lives.
We now come to the Leader of the Opposition, Keir Starmer.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can I join the Prime Minister in his comments about Windrush? And can I pay tribute to everyone who is serving and has served in our armed forces? Can I also pay tribute to everyone standing for election tomorrow? In particular, the plucky Conservative candidate for Wakefield. He's standing even though his own colleagues think he's so useless they held a vote of no confidence in him. Does the Prime Minister hold any personal interest in seeing if the public will vote for a Tory that even his own side don't think is up to it?
Well, Mr. Speaker, I've absolutely no doubt that the people of this country and the people of Wakefield, people of Tiverton and Honiton would much rather vote for a solid Conservative government than for a Labour Party. They're enablers and acolytes in the Liberal Democrats, Mr. Speaker, the chameleons, the karma chameleons of British politics. When the leader of the Labour Party hasn't even got the gumption, Mr. Speaker, to speak out against the rail strikes that are doing so much damage to the people in the north of this country, up and down this country. Absolutely unbelievable silence from the leader of the Labour Party, Mr. Speaker.
He's obviously not been to Wakefield recently. He's crashed the economy. He's put everybody's tax up. The last Tory sent up to Wakefield being convicted of a sexual assault. That's not much of a pitch, Prime Minister. Talking of people not up to the job, whilst the Transport Secretary spends his time working on his spreadsheet tracking the Prime Minister's unpopularity, thousands of families have had their holiday flights cancelled. It takes forever to renew your driving licence or passport, and now we've got the biggest rail strike in 30 years. If he is genuine,
Both sides, let's calm down, we've only just started. The problem is he'll go on forever and nobody wants that, I assure you. Whoever's speaking or asking questions, Keir Starmer.
If he's genuine about preventing strikes, will the Prime Minister tell this House how many meetings he or his Transport Secretary have had with rail workers this week to actually stop the strikes?
Mr. Speaker, this is the government that loves the railways, that invests in the railways. Not £96 billion we're putting into the integrated railway plan building. Not just, I'm proud to have built Crossrail, by the way, Mr. Speaker, and we're going to build Northern Powerhouse Rail. But what we've got to do is modernise our railways. And it is a disgrace when we are planning to make sure that you don't have ticket offices that sell fewer than one ticket every hour, Mr. Speaker, that he yesterday had 25 Labour MPs out on the picket line, defying instructions.
I want to hear the Prime Minister's answer, even if you don't. I think you ought to show some respect for the Prime Minister. Prime Minister.
Out on the 25, and the shadow deputy leader, out on the picket line, Mr. Speaker, backing the strikers, Mr. Speaker, while we back the strivers.
Mr. Speaker, I'm surprised he's giving me advice about my team. If I do need advice, let's say about a £100,000 job at the Foreign Office, I will ask him for recommendation. And there you, Mr. Speaker, there you have it. The Prime Minister of this country and his Transport Secretary haven't attended a single meeting, held a conversation, or lifted a finger to stop these strikes. But I did note that on Monday they did find time to go to a lavish ball where the Prime Minister sold a meeting with himself for £120,000 to a donor. If there's money coming his way, he's there. He's nowhere to be seen. So rather than blame everyone else, why doesn't he do his job, get round the table and get the trains running?
Mr. Speaker, we are making sure that we do everything we can to prevent these strikes. As he knows, it is up to the railway companies to negotiate. That is their job. We've spent £16 billion looking after the railways, Mr. Speaker, throughout the pandemic. That's cost every household £600. And at the same time, we know why he takes the line he does. We know why he won't condemn the strikes. We know why even now he hasn't got the gumption to call out his MPs who are going out to support the pickets, Mr. Speaker. The reason his authority is on the line in this matter is that they take £10 million from the unions, Mr. Speaker. That's the fee that the learned gentleman opposite is receiving for the case he is failing to make.
He can't help himself. There's a huge problem facing the country, and all he's interested in doing is blaming everyone else. Can't he hear the country screaming at him, "Get on with your job"? Whilst he blames everyone and anyone, working people are paying the price. This week, his Treasury Minister said there's a society-wide responsibility for people to take a pay cut. At the same time, his Chief of Staff is trying to change the law to get bankers' bonuses increased. So come on, only one of them can be right. Is it his Treasury Minister who says every worker needs a pay cut? Or is it his Chief of Staff who says every banker needs a pay rise?
Actually, Mr. Speaker, under this government, 5 million public sector workers are getting a pay rise, Mr. Speaker. We've increased the living wage by £1,000. We've increased universal credit so that people get £1,000 more. Thanks to the fiscal firepower that we have, Mr. Speaker, we're putting £1,200 more into every one of the 8 million most vulnerable households in the country. That is what we can do because of the tough decisions that we have taken, Mr. Speaker. But meantime, what we're also trying to do is cut the costs of transport, which is a big part of people's weekly outgoings, by reforming our railways. That's what we're trying to do. But he's standing with the strikers, Mr. Speaker, and lifting the cost of transport for everybody. That's the reality.
His Chief of Staff says that removing the cap on bankers' bonuses is, in his words, reflective of our new approach. Pay rises for city bankers, pay cuts for district nurses. That's the new approach. Mr. Speaker, I didn't see that on any leaflets in Wakefield. But this hasn't come from nowhere, because according to the Financial Times, on the 7th of June last year, the Prime Minister was directly lobbied for the cap to be lifted. Rather than help working people, he's rolled over on bankers' bonuses, hasn't he?
Mr. Speaker, what we're actually doing is putting, thanks to the decisions we've taken, we are putting more money into the pockets of people up and down the country, £1,200 more for the 8 million most vulnerable households. And the reason we can do that, Mr. Speaker, is because we took the tough decisions necessary to come out of the pandemic faster than any other European country. That's why we have unemployment at or near record lows, Mr. Speaker. None of that would have been possible if we had listened to to him. And we have more people now in payroll employment than we had before the pandemic began. That is what the British people know, and that is what this government is going to continue to deliver.
Yes, Starmer. 15 tax rises, high tax, low wages, low growth. That summed his government up. Working people paying more tax under this government, and now they're told to take a pay cut.
Shameful.
He's having meetings about increasing bankers' bonuses, but he can't find time for a single meeting to end the strikes crippling the country. Mr. Speaker, it's Armed Forces Week. Under this Prime Minister, those serving our country are facing a real terms tax pay cut. Why is his government more focused on increasing bank...
Order. Mr McNeil, your voice isn't quiet, it's like mine, it curries. So the best thing to do, if you want it to curry, try standing on the terrace for a while. Here's that.
Mr. Speaker, it's Armed Forces Week. Under this Prime Minister, those serving our country are facing a real terms pay cut. Why is his government more focused on increasing bankers' pay than the pay of those that are running the country?
Mr. Speaker, how absolutely satirical that he should talk about our support for the armed forces when we've increased our funding for our armed forces by a record sum since the end of the Cold War, and when eight of the shadow front bench actually want to get rid of our nuclear deterrent, Mr. Speaker, including the shadow foreign secretary. We're helping people up. Yes, it's true. Maybe it's true, Mr. Speaker. We are helping people up and down the country. £1,200 will be coming into their bank accounts of the 8 million most vulnerable households. The cut in national insurance will be coming into their bank accounts as a result of the steps my right honourable friend is saying. But what we're also doing is reforming our systems so we cut costs for people up and down the country. Reforming our energy markets, building a nuclear reactor every year rather than one every 10 years, Mr. Speaker, getting people off welfare into work, 500,000 people off welfare into work because we cut the time people are waiting on benefits, Mr. Speaker, and cutting the costs of transport for working people, Mr. Speaker, by delivering reforms while they're out on the picket line, literally holding hands with Arthur Scargill, Mr. Speaker. That's them. It's worse than under Jeremy Corbyn. This is a government that is taking this country forward. They would take it back to the 1970s.
For years in Harrogate and Knaresborough, we had the Labour no-growth Northern Rail franchise. Yeah. We now have new rolling stock, more and better services. Yeah. We have, though, seen some lost as the industries had to suspend some services while they catch up on driver training lost during the pandemic. Strikes just takes us back to the 1970s. Yep. So will the Prime Minister's focus on the future ensure that we have apprenticeship schemes focusing on engineering and driver training to ensure that we recover the services lost and we have an industry that's focused upon efficiency and embraces technology for the future?
Yeah. My right honourable friend knows exactly what he speaks, and we're doing just that. We're reforming driver training to make entry into the sector simpler, whilst continuing, of course, to make sure that we meet vital safety requirements.
We now come to Leader of the SNP, Ian Blackford.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can I associate myself with the remarks of the Prime Minister and the Leader of the Labour Party as we mark armed services? We can thank all our service personnel for the services that they give. Mr. Speaker, on Windrush Day, we celebrate all those who have made Scotland and the UK their home. My party backs calls for a major commemoration for the 75th anniversary next year, so we can properly mark the value contribution that those that came here have made. Hear, hear. Mr. Speaker, this morning it was revealed that UK inflation is now at a 40-year high. Families right across these islands are seeing their income squeezed as prices rise, bills soar, and Tory cuts and tax hikes hammer home. After 12 years in government, the Tories have left the UK economy in the doldrums and pushed millions of people into poverty. So, can I ask the Prime Minister, does he think his government bears any blame for the fact that the United Kingdom is doing so much worse than our European neighbours?
Actually, Mr. Speaker, I think the whole House knows and the whole country knows we've got a global inflationary problem, but this government has the fiscal firepower to deal with it, Mr. Speaker, and that is, I think, of benefit to the whole of the United Kingdom, including Scotland, as we've seen throughout the pandemic. And I think it's a matter of fact that taxes are actually highest of all in Scotland, Mr. Speaker.
Well, actually, that is not true, Mr. Speaker. But of course, the Prime Minister can make all the excuses he likes. But the fact is, the UK economy is lagging behind on his watch. Actually, if he looks at France, inflation is less than 6% there. This morning's report from the Resolution Foundation and the London School of Economics is the latest in a string of devastating reports on the outlook for the UK economy. The report could not be clearer. The Tory government's disastrous Brexit is driving wages down, pushing inflation up, and will make us poorer over the next decade. But instead of reversing course, the Prime Minister is recklessly threatening a trade war at the worst possible time. Will he finally come to his senses and negotiate an economic agreement with the EU, or is he going to woefully push the UK into recession?
Mr. Speaker, nobody wants a trade war, nor is there any need for one. But I think I'm afraid he's underestimating what this country is currently achieving. Not just the Moderna investment, but a record venture capital investment in this country, which has now overtaken China, Mr. Speaker, as a venue for venture capital investment, and not to say nothing of what we're getting in tech. And that, of course, Mr. Speaker, the benefits of that are being felt throughout the whole of the United Kingdom.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I very much support the work of this government to level up all parts of the United Kingdom, including Scotland and my own constituency in the Scottish Borders. For the Scottish Borders, improved transport connectivity is the key to levelling up. So will the Prime Minister reconfirm his government's support for improvements to the cross-border A1 road, and also the feasibility study to extend the Borders Railway to Hawick, Newcastleton and on to Carlisle?
I thank him for an excellent piece of lobbying, and I can tell him that we're looking, certainly the Department of Transport is working with Transport Scotland on the possible extension of the Borders Railway to Carlisle, and on the A1 a decision is to be made later this year.
Caroline Lucas.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. It's emerged that there is a backlog of 23,000 applications under the Afghan Relocation and Assistance Policy, with just 2 of 3,000 applications for refuge by Afghans who worked for Britain processed since April. Yet at the same time, staff working on the Arab scheme have been slashed by a quarter since December. This is an incredible betrayal of the Afghan people who put their lives on the line to work for our country. So I still have casework many people from the Chevening alumni, for example, who've been promised support since September. Can I send those cases to him? Will he put more resources into the scheme, and will he lift the cap on the ACRS scheme so that we can finally do our best for the people of Afghanistan?
I thank her very much, but I think I'm afraid that she's underestimating what this country is already doing for the people of Afghanistan. And I think on Armed Forces Day we should celebrate Pitting that brought 15,000 out. I'm of course very happy to look at the cases that she wants to raise, and we will do our best for them and for their families, Mr. Speaker. But this House should be in no doubt of the generous welcome that we continue to give to people from Syria, from Afghanistan, from Ukraine, from Hong Kong. We have a record to be very proud of.
Andy Carter.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. My constituents in Chapelford, in Penketh, in Great Sankey and in Appleton all tell me they want to see more police officers tackling issues like antisocial behaviour, tackling issues like domestic abuse and burglary. And thanks to the initiatives of John Dwyer, the excellent Police and Crime Commissioner in Cheshire, and sustained recruitment by the new Chief Constable, the hard work of our police officers is paying off, with almost a 50% increase in arrests for domestic abuse in Cheshire over the last 12 months compared to the last 12 months. Can my right honourable friend update the House on how many more officers have been recruited in both Cheshire and across the UK since he became the Prime Minister? And will he join me in recognising...
Mr. Prime Minister, can I just say, Other members do want to get in. The longer the question, the less will get in. Your friendship will dwindle if you carry on like that. Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I can tell him very briefly, it's 13,576 more police officers, 200 more in Cheshire, Mr. Speaker. But what they're also doing, Mr. Speaker, is they're cutting neighbourhood crime already by 31%. Our streets are getting safer as a result.
Sorry.
Thank you. A clear majority of members of the Northern Ireland Assembly reject the government's protocol bill and the Prime Minister's rationale for it. And businesses fear its consequences. This Prime Minister has made clear on multiple occasions his commitment, so-called, to all aspects of the Good Friday Agreement.
Consensus.
That includes the European Convention on Human Rights being part of domestic law. So how can he stand over that commitment when the Justice Secretary is about to publish a bill that unpicks and disapplies the Human Rights Act within our domestic law? He can't have it both ways.
I think if the honourable gentleman will just wait for the Justice Secretary's statement, which follows shortly, I think he will find that he is in error in what he's just said.
Alexander Stafford.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. High-wage, high-skilled jobs at the heart of my campaign to level up Rother Valley and tackle the cost of living crisis. I have personally hosted 2 job fairs, and thanks to £11 million investment from the government's Levelling Up Fund, Rother Valley will benefit from a cutting-edge skills and employment village and a leading incubator space for training apprenticeships and start-ups hosted at the old Maltby Grammar School. Staff areas were neglected under Labour. In light of this, will my right honourable friend, the Prime Minister, pledge his support for high-wage, high-skilled Rother Valley, level up our high streets and also visit Rother Valley to see levelling up in action?
Yes, I think probably the best member for Rother Valley that we've ever had, Mr. Speaker. And I thank him very much, and we're going to continue with our agenda of levelling up across the whole country, through all the difficulties that this country has faced, and it will get young people across the country and in Rother Valley into good jobs for generations to come, and that is our ambition.
Osborne.
Speaker, tens of thousands of people were marching through London last weekend, protesting against this out-of-touch government. Rail workers are on strike, Royal Mail workers, NHS workers, teachers and even barristers are on the verge of taking industrial action. All workers are struggling to cope with the worst cost of living crisis in history. Ministers are planning to boost city bosses' pay whilst demanding wage restraint for everyone else. So can the Prime Minister tell me when is he going to stop meaningless sound bites and instead start supporting working people across our country?
If she wants to support the working people of this country, Mr. Speaker, can I suggest she gets off the picket line? And supports the and has a word with her leader, Mr. Speaker, and supports the travelling public of this country who want to see a reduction in their costs of transport, which this government is delivering.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. For much of Britain, levelling up means the revitalisation of British industry and the jobs that goes with it. Many countries around the world, such as Germany and China, get a competitive advantage by burning lignite, the dirtiest form of fossil fuel. So does my right honourable friend share my concerns about the ethics of holding back British industry and exporting and magnifying our carbon emissions overseas, all in the name of net zero?
Mr. Speaker, I think we can all be proud of the way we've reduced CO2 emissions in this country, but plainly it makes no sense to be importing coal, particularly for metallurgical purposes, when we have our own domestic resources.
Louise Fletcher.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Prime Minister knows that we in Coventry and Warwickshire are proudly the UK's leading centre for battery vehicle innovation. He knows because he visited the UK Battery Industrialisation Centre just last year. If this government wants this vital sector to survive for the future, the Prime Minister needs to confirm his support. Will he give a concrete guarantee for the resources needed for the West Midlands Gigafactory project to go ahead so we can deliver much-needed skilled jobs in Coventry for 2025?
Well, Mr. Speaker, that's probably the first sensible question from the opposition benches, and I can tell her that we do actively support gigafactories because I believe they can be of huge advantage for the UK economy. That's why I'm proud to see one now in Blythe. We're working with the authorities in the West Midlands, in Coventry, to make sure that we also get a successful result there.
Sir Bill Wiggin. Hereford Sixth Form College has over 600 students who rely on the trains to get them to their exams this week. What can my right honourable friend do to ensure that these young people doing their GCSEs and A-levels are not punished by the train strikers?
Well, Mr. Speaker, I know how much my right honourable friend cares for students in his constituency, and I can tell him that no exams have been cancelled as a result of the strikes so far. We expect schools and colleges to have contingency arrangements in place to manage disruption. If students arrive late, then schools should allow them to take the paper, and exam boards will determine if that paper can be marked based on how late the student is. And I'm told that, Mr. Speaker, if the student misses the exam completely, the school can apply for their grade to be calculated from the other assessments they have completed in that subject. And I hope that is helpful to my right honourable friend.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Prime Minister will be aware of the problems that arose in Paris at the European Cup final. Will he agree with me that both the French and UEFA authorities' attempts to blame Liverpool fans for the failure to keep order at the stadium has been comprehensively disproven? And will he ensure that the French failure to police the event is roundly condemned?
I thank him very much, Mr. Speaker, and I think the whole House will have seen how those initial accounts of what took place were completely debunked and proved to be incorrect in respect of the Liverpool fans, and I think it was right that the French authorities and I think UEFA issued a full apology for what took place.
Sir Desmond Swade.
Taking back control is to apply to the ECHR too, isn't it?
Mr. Speaker, I think he should wait for my right honourable friend, the Deputy Prime Minister, who will be saying a little bit about that in just a moment. But I can tell him that when it comes to the Rwanda policy that we are pursuing, that policy, Mr. Speaker, has not been ruled unlawful by any UK court, nor so far by any international court, Mr. Speaker. And we will continue with that policy.
Lera Wilson.
Much, Mr. Speaker. The father-in-law of my constituent, Ibrahim, is a former Supreme Court judge in Afghanistan. He successfully prosecuted and put behind bars hundreds of terrorists associated with the Taliban, Al-Qaeda and ISIS. 7 months on since he put in his Arab application, there is no progress. He's living in hiding. His only option is a perilous journey to Pakistan, where if his visa is refused, he will be deported back into the hands of the Taliban. So, will the Prime Minister meet with me and the former judge's family to see how we can save the life of a man who I have no doubt has helped save hundreds of British lives?
Well, can I thank her very much for raising that particular case, and it does sound extremely meritorious, and I'll make sure that she gets a meeting with the Department of Defence that runs ARAP, Mr. Speaker, and that we do our best to expedite that application as fast as we can.
To Ben Spass.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm proud to represent over 1,000 Park Home residents. When will the government address the injustice of pitch fees determined by RPI, and how is the government going to ensure they can all benefit from the energy grant?
I thank the honourable gentleman, my honourable friend. We are going to introduce legislation as soon as parliamentary time allows to change the inflationary index used in calculating the annual pitch fee to CPI, Mr. Speaker, and I'm told that the Department for Levelling Up and Housing has undertaken research on the impacts on residents and site owners of a change to the 10% commission that is currently paid on the sale of a park home.
Caroline Harris.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm sure the Prime Minister is as thrilled as I am that you, Mr. Speaker, signed the Wellbeing of Women Menopause Pledge last week to show support for women in this place. So will the Prime Minister follow Mr Speaker's example and ensure the better access to treatment for women in England by introducing the single annual payment for HRT now, not make them wait till April 23, a full 18 months after it was first promised?
I thank her very much for raising what is a very important issue, and one that is understood keenly on all sides of this House. And I know that my right honourable friend, the Health Secretary, is accelerating the work of the HRT task force to give people up and down the country the reassurance and the treatment that they need.
Final question, Dean Russell.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Thank you, Mr Speaker. I was incredibly grateful that the Prime Minister launched my initiative to train 1,000 mental health first aiders in awareness in Watford over a year and a half ago, and it's being successfully delivered by Watford and West Herts Chamber of Commerce and many amazing volunteers. So I know he understands the importance of mental well-being and mental health. Sadly, bullying can have a long-lasting effect on mental health and well-being. So today, the Diana Award are raising awareness about bullying in schools and online, and with the Don't Face It Alone campaign. So will the Prime Minister please join me in encouraging any young person experiencing bullying to speak up and speak out?
Can I thank him very much and congratulate him on his own campaign on this issue. I think everybody understands that bullying is an absolutely appalling experience and something that we should not tolerate in our society. And I'm delighted to see so many colleagues, so many honourable members wearing their blue ribbons today, Mr Speaker. We should all speak out against bullying, but we should also make sure that we give everybody the courage to speak out against bullying as well.
That ends PMQs. Those who wish to leave, please do so. Wonderful flag. No, it's important. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Nice and tight there, Mr Speaker.
It was good. Thank you. Thanks very much. That worked well. That was good. Brilliant. Always really about it. Just let people go through it. All right. Before I call the Deputy Prime Minister to make his statement, I have to say to him and to the Government, I'm extremely disappointed that once again an important government policy has been presented to the media before this House. Why the BBC and Sky News is more important, I will never know. That is simply, and I will say again, that is simply not acceptable. One thing which did not change in the recently revised Ministerial Code was the important statement: when Parliament is in session, the most important announcements of government policy should be made in the first instance in Parliament. But yet again, the media have been the first to know. I'm glad that the Minister is making the statement, but he should have done that before speaking to the media. I would certainly have granted an urgent question, and I've got to say thank Mr Byrne putting one in just in case, had the statement not been forthcoming, and the Government should be aware that I will always do this in similar circumstances. And I've got to say, I nearly granted both, and I don't want to put in that position again. So please, respect this House, respect members of every political party. They're elected to hear it here, not via the news. Deputy Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, thank you, and I of course heed his advice as ever. We strived to make sure that we only kept within the tramels of what had gone out in the consultation document, but I heed his advice as ever. And with your permission, I will make a statement on the publication and introduction of a UK Bill of Rights as we take the next steps to fulfil our manifesto commitment and deliver human rights reform across the country. Mr Speaker, we have a proud tradition of freedom under the rule of law in this country, and I would remind honourable members on all sides that it dates back centuries to Magna Carta, not just 1998. The Bill of Rights is the next chapter in the evolution and the strengthening of our human rights framework. It's published today and available online and, I believe, in the Vote Office. Mr Speaker, let me turn to the key strands of our reforms. First, and again to remind the House, as I said when we launched the consultation back in December, the UK intends to remain a state party to the European Convention on Human Rights. It is a common sense set of principles, and the problems that we have encountered have stemmed from the elastic interpretations and the expansion, absent meaningful democratic oversight, in particular as a result of the procedural framework set out in the Human Rights Act. And so, Mr. Speaker, our key objectives with reform are to reinforce those quintessentially UK-wide rights, like freedom of speech, the liberty that guards all of the others, and we will also recognise the role of jury trial, mindful of how it operates in different parts of the United Kingdom, and something which is not prevalent on the continent, but is very much part of the heritage and the pedigree of this country. These liberties are part of our proud history, but they're also critical to strengthening our place in the world as an open, vibrant and rambunctious democracy. Mr. Speaker, next we will strengthen the separation of powers in this country, affirming the supremacy of the Supreme Court, being explicit that the UK courts are under no obligation to follow the Strasbourg case law and indeed are free to diverge from it. I'm proud of our world-beating judiciary. And what else is the point? What else is the point of a Supreme Court if it bows in subordination to a European one? Mr. Speaker, we've also seen the goalposts on human rights shift over time through expansive judicial interpretations licensed by the Human Rights Act, which has tended to magnify overweening rulings from Strasbourg. Although it is worth noting, in fairness, that there has been more judicial restraint in Strasbourg on occasion in recent times. Nevertheless, Mr. Speaker, what ebbs may flow, and we will ensure in our Bill of Rights that any expansion of human rights law, as opposed to its interpretation, is subject to proper democratic oversight by elected members in this House. Yeah. Our reforms, in particular to sections 2 and 3 of the Human Rights Act, will squarely address those flaws in the current framework. And we will also be crystal clear that when it comes to the laws of the land and the legitimate necessary and constructive dialogue that we have with Strasbourg, it is Parliament that has the last word. There's been much said by the judiciary in Strasbourg about an age of subsidiarity, with greater respect for the will of domestic democratic institutions, particularly since the 2012 Brighton Declaration that the UK is very much spearheading to promote reform. Our approach is crafted very much with that in mind, to facilitate that dialogue between the United Kingdom and Strasbourg and avail ourselves of the margin of appreciation which is within the bounds of the Convention. Equally, as a matter of basic democratic principle, we will reaffirm and reinforce the democratic oversight and control exercised by this House. Now, Mr. Speaker, our Bill of Rights sets out a range of important reforms, a permission stage in the UK courts to assert greater checks over frivolous claims at an earlier stage. That, of course, reflects the Strasbourg court itself, which has an admissibility stage. We've included provision to ensure that behaviour of anyone claiming a breach of their human rights is taken into account when our courts consider compensation. It's a principle of law in this country that those who come to equity do so with clean hands. I think that should be reflected in human rights claims as well. We will also expressly, Mr. Speaker, provide for greater weight to be given to Parliament's determination of the public interest set out in primary legislation when considering the interpretation of rights to ensure we are better equipped to protect the public. And that will reinforce our ability to, for example, deport more foreign national offenders, and in particular, those claiming ever more elastic interpretations of Article 8 and the right to family life to frustrate the deportation process. It will also ensure we can deliver our reforms to the parole system. So when it comes to those finely balanced assessments of risk in decisions on the release of potentially dangerous offenders, public protection is the overriding priority. Our Bill of Rights will also mean that we can prevent well-meaning but counterproductive and onerous straitjacket regulatory burdens being placed on our public services, resulting from rulings determined by lawyers in court rather on such sensitive matters being set by elected lawmakers in this House. That's particularly important, Mr. Speaker, with respect to finely balanced assessments of social policy matters with financial impact, the bread and butter issues that it is for this Parliament to decide. Mr. Speaker, we have consulted and engaged very widely across the whole of the United Kingdom. We will continue to do so. This is a UK-wide reform, but we want to work with all of the devolved administrations on these essential reforms, so we will be seeking legislative consent motions, noting nevertheless that the status of the Human Rights Act is as a, and I quote, protected enactment under the devolved settlements, so reform, replacement, revision can only take place from Westminster. Mr. Speaker, our Bill of Rights will strengthen our proud tradition of freedom